ready? We ready? Who ready? We ready? Who ready? Who? We ready? Who? Who ready? Who? We ready? Who? Motivation to youth only. Mentally feel like Kobe. I'm like Jokic with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me. I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. Euro step like Ginobili. From young OG to the OG. From nosebleeds to floor seats. Circle stronger than Cuban links. My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's a reach. We ready? Who ready?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the One-on-One Sports Show here on the Black Men Unfiltered Network. My name is Mr. Bennett. Hopefully, I'll be joined by my partners as always tonight. Certainly, as you come in tonight, make sure you hit the like button as you come in. Consider also a super chat, certainly to the Black Men Unfiltered Network, or as well as our individual cash apps as they scroll past the screen. I don't have admin rights tonight, so hopefully BMU in the back will be able to certainly govern and direct the show tonight. Or grant me access so I can do so. But in any event, good to have you guys here tonight, certainly on this last week of NFL preseason before certainly the season gets underway. So again, certainly a lot of talk about, some of the happenings that are going on in and around the NFL. Good to have guys in the chat. Time, as always, thank you for being consistent, joining us from week to week. Good to have you here. And, just looking to top it up a little bit this week and see what's going on. And I think my Steelers, I think they play, believe they play tomorrow night in their final preseason game. So, we'll see. There's been a lot of talk about them acquiring, another wide receiver. I think wide receiver coming out of, I want to say Miami, I believe. So, there's possible that, they may have another number 2 receiver there to join, DK Metcalf. But we'll see how that all shakes out. If I understand the wide receiver, it's the second trip actually to Pittsburgh, and I think he has another follow-up appointment with his home team. Certainly with I think Buffalo, who I think drafted him. He's going to go there and see what's going on. But yeah, we're going to get into this tonight, and again, they're just going to pretty much keep the slides up, certainly for the duration of the show. But just starting block, speaking of the NFL, is the news coming out of Indianapolis. Hey, Coach, how you doing, sir? What's going on?
You good, Ben, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Your mic is sort of low.
It's sort of low? All right, let me see if I can do a quick adjust on that so I could sound a little bit more melodious. I know I share this space with a lot of guys who have a lot of talent, but let me see if I can get this mic sounding just a little bit better. Okay, how about this? How about this? How about this? How about that? How's that, Coach? Is that better, sir?
I'm on mute. That's good, man. That's
okay, cool. Yeah, I was turning down a little bit.
It's real
so
loud.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Again, time. Again, as always, appreciate you coming in tonight. So we're going to get into this. So we're going to keep slides up, I think, for the duration of the show. So, certainly, we'll just take these spots as we get them. Hopefully our brothers Shawnee, Dante, I think certainly en route. So hopefully they'll be joining the block very shortly. But, news out of Indianapolis. So, again, a new starter has been named to the Colts. Obviously, the Colts has been obviously a lot of upheaval with certainly the passing of their owner Jim Irsay, and I think his daughter, taking over the ownership of the franchise, and now with this new season. So Daniel Jones, formerly of the Giants, has been named the starting quarterback for the season over Anthony Richardson. So again, Anthony coming out, certainly a very athletic quarterback, had a lot of gifts and talents, but certainly last year in his rookie season, showed some signs of things that weren't necessarily the most beneficial. Obviously taking himself out of a game, even though he didn't have an injury, whatnot. Certainly didn't go over too well. And, so again, not sure what the situation is there. There might be some maturity problems or whatnot, but nevertheless, the fact that you're going to name Daniel Jones, who had a mediocre at best career in New York. Yes, he led him to the playoffs, but he had a mediocre career. Also coming off of a pretty bad knee injury. but nevertheless won the starting job over Richardson. So, the question I want to just raise off the top of the show is this it pretty much for Richardson? Is there any coming back from this? Is he going to be journeyman from the time out, or does he simply need just a fresh start in a new environment? And if so, what environment do you think may be able to benefit from his talent? He definitely has physical gifts. I don't know if necessarily the mental game is there, but what are your thoughts on the Colts situation with Jones starting and Richardson? What about his future in the NFL?
It must be more to him off the field that's not being revealed. I think it's more to him than off the field. They saw something that made them realize that he's maybe not be as dedicated as they would like. And the fact that he let Daniel Jones come in there and steal his position, I don't think he's really that committed to football. I think he has some other things going on that he's struggling with. And again, Indianapolis, they'll be lucky to make 7 wins, even with Daniel Jones, because he's no better to me. But I think this guy did himself an injustice, and he may not be in the league that much. I hope, I don't know where he could find another slot, maybe a backup somewhere, continue to work in Indianapolis. But I think he gonna be stuck with a hard, a difficult decision come his next year. He may not be in the league after that. I'm not sure, but I believe it's just more outside the football field to me.
Yeah, and that's tough to come from. I mean, people can deal with injuries, they can deal with a lot of things, but certainly quitting on your team. I got Tom in the chat. Again, I don't have time to share the comments, but again, it says, certainly, let me say this: anytime you take yourself out of a game because you're tired, means that you quit on your team. And can you imagine the veterans who were looking at you? That wasn't a good look. So I definitely agree with that. That's one reputation that goes league wide, not just with a team. When that reputation comes out as far as quitting, that's very difficult to come away from. So he may have to spend some time in a football purgatory somewhere in order to gain some of that confidence and reputation back. And so certainly, but yeah, I think even 7 wins might be generous this year. I can see 5-6 wins for the Colts. Certainly this year, they may need to plan for the future and what their prospect is for their next quarterback, because clearly it seems like certainly the Richardson experiment in Indianapolis is over. And so he'll be, if he stays on the roster, I'll be surprised at that. But as far as what team will pick him up at this point, that's going to be he would definitely be a reclamation project. Certainly, you would like to see, I know Tom with the Steelers, he's no quarterback whisperer, but I'm thinking Baltimore usually, has success with, some of these QBs. Maybe that could be a good environment for him. But
Cooper Rush, brother. Baltimore has Cooper Rush.
I understand. But,
did they? I wanted to ask you this question regarding Richardson. Did they ever investigate him as possible point shaving or something?
That I've heard that. I don't know if an actual investigation had taken place.
Yeah, he took himself out of the game. That's a little odd.
Yeah. But even then, I mean, just to be hinted with that, plus the fact being lazy. So again, I hope this isn't as bad as the Jamarcus Russell debacle back in the day. But that was, that was pretty bad back in the day. So again, hopefully he can sort of rehabilitate his career. But he's definitely gonna, he's got a long way to go, but he's young, and that's the one thing he does have. He's young. He does have gifts. He's a physical specimen, almost built like Cam Newton. And, so again, will someone try to give him another chance? Hopefully that'll be the case in the future. So, good luck to Richardson, and even for Daniel Jones. I mean, like I said, I know he had a really bad knee injury, so he battled back from that. But, the fact he's still in the league, he's still cashing checks. He's like a lesser version of Kirk Cousins in my view. So, but at least, he's got a playoff win just like Kirk Cousins, and he stays in the league just like Kirk Cousins. So who knows? We could be looking at Daniel Jones 5 years from now. He's going to have $300 million in checks in the bank. So we got to see what happens down the line with them. But hopefully we'll see how it fleshes out. But yeah, I mean, at this point, 5-6 wins tops. I think for the Colts coming out of the South, I'd be very surprised if they had more than that. But moving on from that, we also have so this story again. This was certainly volunteer, and thank you to Dante for bringing this up. So there was a major deal struck with ESPN and the NFL. So basically, the NFL sold off some of its rights to, I think, NFL Primetime and a lot of their, NFL Red Zone sold to ESPN. In exchange, the NFL basically owns 10% of ESPN. I think before this deal, I think Disney owned 80% of ESPN, and then there was like another, I guess, small private equity that owned the other 20%. So 10% of ESPN is owned by the league. Do you think this is, and this I'm getting this scoop from the Wrap online, do you think this is a good move for both parties? Do you think this may compromise ESPN's autonomy in terms of being able to comment on the NFL and NFL matters? I mean, certainly they've had, so a matter for a long time, certainly going back to the 90s. And I know there were a lot of stories that happened over the years, and you wonder how the Colin Kaepernick situation would have been covered under these conditions. But certainly, what are your thoughts on the league, a major sports league, partnering with a major entity like ESPN to this capacity? We've all seen partnerships between leagues and networks, but never to the degree where the league owns a piece of the network. So what are your thoughts on this? Is this good, bad, or you don't think it'll make a difference in the long run?
I think it's good for the NFL. I think the narratives will be a little bit more favorable for the NFL as far as when it comes down to contracting and, collective bargaining. But it also could, I'll say it would benefit the NFL more because it would allow them to reach more countries more often, because ESPN is one of those cable channels that's on every cable network, so it's going to be, I don't know how much of an effect it have as far as ESPN is per se, because football is not the only thing that they cover.
Right.
So,
but I'm speaking more in particular in terms of how the game is covered, how
the game is going to be,
or not even so much covered. I mean, like commented on. Like, for example, if there is a league-wide issue where Goodell's under scrutiny for something, will the journalists at ESPN, will they have just as much freedom to critique or criticize the NFL or Roger Goodell in particular, knowing that a part of their business is owned by the NFL? So again, in terms of journalistic integrity, do you think it'll make a difference?
Even now, before this, right? There's certain things the ESPN wouldn't comment on the same way they don't comment on Jerry Jones the same way they comment on other owners in perspective, sports. They don't do that. Jerry Jones is the GM, so but you see how even when they talking about it, talk to the agent, they, when they're on First Take and all of that. But if there was another GM, the GM would talk to the agent and the player. So he's doing his job. But it's not going to, both of them are going to benefit. ESPN, I think it gives them more, it's going to give them a little bit more leeway to sort of monopolize the games that are on TV. Because you need cable and all that to really watch ESPN.
Right.
So I think it's just going to be more, monopolized in that capacity. I don't think you'll see it on as many other networks. But we have to see how it play out, man. 10% seem like a lot. I mean, it don't seem like a lot, but it's probably what, $5 billion.
It's a multi-billion-dollar. Yeah. It's pretty big. And again, speaking of other networks, obviously you have Amazon Prime they have the Thursday night games, and then you also have, again, the networks. Again, how is their access to the NFL? Is that going to be impacted in any kind of way? We got to really see how this all shakes out. But again, certainly the ESPN, and again, I guess also credit to ESPN, because again, given the fact that you have the rise in streaming services. I remember when they first got onto Amazon Prime, people were like, "Well, is this over for the networks?" You know what I mean? So I think this is also a move by ESPN to secure their position, as everyone's going streaming, everyone's going to these different outlets and whatnot. The fact that they really have this marriage with the NFL properties, I think is going to keep ESPN relevant, certainly for a longer period of time. If they thought they were going to be losing some of their market share and whatnot to other streaming platforms. So I think this certainly strengthens their position, and how they flex it is going to be interesting to see in recent years. So we'll certainly follow this as it goes along. Next block. So again, for the Cleveland Browns, and I know we got time in the building. So time, any commentary you may have on Cleveland, since I know you follow that team and that situation. And so here you had last game, you had Dillon Gabriel got the start over Shedeur Sanders, although I think Shedeur, he had an injury. He had some sort of injury last week, so he couldn't be the starter. But again, if you look at the numbers, Shedeur outshined Gabriel, but nevertheless, because of draft status and everything else, you got the 45-year-old Joe Flacco as your starter. Kenny Pickett, who got no reps at all, and I could have told you from Pittsburgh that not sure how much you could do there. The guy never played, but yet you're going to name him to your second starter. Dillon Gabriel, okay, because he was your higher drafts pick, and then Shedeur, despite the fact that also this I got this from another source again, Shedeur Sanders' debut becomes the NFL Network's second most watched preseason game since 2015, their highest rated preseason game in 10 years. And yet everybody in Cleveland, at least that management, is just like, well, we didn't want to draft it. If it was up to me, I wouldn't have drafted him anyway, said the owner of the Browns. So I don't know what it is. Okay, you wanted to send a message to Prime and his son about who's really running things. Okay, you want to do that. You see the guy, what he could do. He got into the game. He performed despite not getting first team reps. He's clearly outperformed Dillon Gabriel, and he's still fourth on the depth chart, which again, now most teams don't even carry 4 QBs on a team going into the season. But he's fourth. So again, what do you make of this whole situation, just given what we've been able to see and evaluate? And then also, do you think that someone makes a deal and tries to scoop up Shedeur? Because, I mean, if he can get those numbers in a preseason game, what would happen if you gave the guy more reps and allowed him to mature into a potential starting QB? So this whole situation has been political, I believe, from the beginning. I know we had debated the draft and everything else. But I think it's pretty obvious that, again, he should have been drafted higher. He's clearly an attraction that people wanted to see. And yet he's fourth on the depth chart, especially to guys who, quite frankly, in my view, haven't earned necessarily the right to be in that position. But it is what it is. But your thoughts on this whole debacle, and again, time, if you're still in the chat, we certainly love to get your involvement on this as well. Feel free to chime in to the chat. And again, for everybody who came in tonight, make sure you hit the like button, certainly as you come in to the chat as well. So your thoughts on this matter, Coach?
This is going to be an interesting play. And this is my take on it. I think they're going to release Kenny Pickett, keep Gabriel, keep Sanders. Joe Flacco, they already know that that's an experimental year. They looking for at least 1 year. They trying to, save face. He's the veteran. He has the experience. He's the championship quarterback. Everybody else under him, to me, they all on the same level. Kenny Pickett, he hasn't proved anything. Gabriel, nope. Shedeur, out of those three, if we put them game stats, Shedeur probably has the best game stats.
Mhm.
Now, the caveat, I think they're going to release Kenny Pickett. I think they're going to keep Dylan Gabriel and Shador. And I think at some point, Watson, he'll be off, he'll be phased out. And I could be wrong, though. Shador, I marked this year up as a learning experience. That's what they already had explained. Okay, cool. But then I believe he could force an issue next year. He's under contract, but I think he can force an issue because if he keeps showing up playing the way he's playing, if he's not getting in those games, the people in Cleveland going to be questioning the ownership, and they ain't going to be showing up. Especially, they seeing what they seeing out on the field. He's not there. But looking ahead for other teams, okay, y'all done improved your point in NFL. We just looked at a team that could use him right now. The Colts, they could use a Shador on that roster right now.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's going to be interesting. It's hard to say because they got 2 more cuts. They cut this week.
And then the last down to the 53. So yeah.
Oh well, yeah. So I think Kenny Pickett gonna be the man off the list, and he'll find a backup job somewhere. The Colts, he can go to the Colts. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting because Shador. What are they gonna do if he comes out again and he has the same type of performance, if not better? Mm-hmm. What can you say? What you gonna say to the press? So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, man. I don't know, man, because I'll say this and I shut up. Any other preseason on any other team, when you're trying to establish a new quarterback, and they both played a game, and at the end of each game, you going by what the stats are. A coach will choose the player that performed the best.
Mm-hmm.
So. Is Sanders going to be available this week for the preseason? Hopefully he is. And if he has another great showing, then Cleveland, they're going to have to make some hard decisions.
And keep in mind, you still have Deshaun Watson in the building. So, and he's not going anywhere with the contract that he has. So you're right. A couple guys are going to have to get moved here. And I think, if it certainly you could say, Pickett is certainly on the short list. Flacco, or he's an Achilles away at his age. He's an Achilles away. So you could be looking at Gabriel, Sanders, and Watson, and duking that out when he came back. Shout out to Watson. I think he got married recently and whatnot. So maybe he's keep himself out of trouble and focus on football instead of massage parlors. But that being said, a very interesting situation in Cleveland. But it seems like we're going to see Joe Flacco as starter. Shout out to again Next Level MF. Thank you for coming here. The Next Phases, appreciate you. Thanks for the comments tonight. Thank you for joining us for the show. Really appreciate you stopping by as well. Let's get to this next block. I think I still am in the NFL. Let me see. Oh, switching to the NBA. All right. Actually, before we do that, let's keep all this energy in NFL. I was waiting for the guys to show up to talk about this next topic, but I want to share, if I can. Hopefully, I'll be able to share a video because I want to play this and let me know what you think about it. Let's see here. Share the screen. And share the audio, and I want to go to here. If it'll allow me to share. Okay, so it's there, but I cannot share it. So I may have to come back. If BMU, if you get a chance to come back in, I do have an audio, a video that I want to share, talk about the NFL. So I'm just going to go to the next block for now. If you come back in, let me know, and I can then bring it up, and then hopefully, a couple of other fellows will show up in the meantime. So so let's move to the NBA. So again, this was at the NBA news. So again, John Wall, long-time career certainly with the Washington. I'm old school. I want to say the Bullets, but it's the Wizards. They haven't been the Bullets in a long time. That's how old I am. I still remember the Bullets from back in the day. 5-time All-Star, All-Rookie Team 2010, 2016, 2017 All-NBA, retires this year. So again, I guess as guys kind of come off the stage, you always want to ask, especially with the in my view, the softness of the Hall of Fames now. Do you think this guy mandates a Hall of Fame is this a Hall of Fame resume in your view, just given who they letting in the league right now? 18.7 18.7% points per game. Again, only 32% from 3-point range, 77% shooter, 8.9 assists. Is this good enough to get him in on any level as a Hall of Famer? Just seems like it's like similar to him, just like Agent Zero's career. Somewhat unfulfilled, somewhat, certainly a talented guy coming out of North Carolina. Seemed like he never quite lived up to his potential. Kentucky. They tried some different pairings with other guys, and it just never came off. So your thoughts on John Wall? Hey, Shawnee, what's going on, sir? Good to see you. Your thoughts on Wall, and is this a Hall of Fame worthy resume? Now, again, just how I grade, and you know what my answer is going to be. But given all these Hall of Fames now, it's almost like participation trophy Hall of Fame these days. But what are your thoughts on Wall, and do you think he gets into the Hall of Fame with this resume?
Okay, just to make a slight correction, he came out of Kentucky as a top pick out of Kentucky.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I was right here. He's from North Carolina, but he played. Yeah. That's almost sacrilege. How can you be from North Carolina but play for Kentucky? That's sacrilege to me. But you're right. He did play for Kentucky under Calipari. You are correct. So again, another one of those great Calipari players in college came out very promising. Him and who's my man who just retired from the Bulls? Oh, geez. I'm in a brain freeze right now. But he just retired, I think, this a year ago. He was Chicago all those years. He was really good, but he had some injuries and whatnot, but he couldn't come off. But again, another one of those high quality, talented guys. But did it actually manifest within the NBA? So your thoughts on Wall in his career?
He's a legacy pick. I don't think he won't. I don't see him getting in no time soon. Maybe 20 years down the road. But I would like to see what his numbers are compared to some of the old time greats as far as average points per game. He did fall off it's like his first 6 years, he was one of the top players in the league. Then the last 6 or 7, it sort of just fell off. What he played? Now, how many years in the league he played altogether?
I want to say he came in 2010, so this would have been, I guess, his 13th. Well, actually, in a couple of years he was out. There were a couple of years where he did not play. It was like the last 2 out of the last 4 years or so, he was out of the league just due to injuries. Yeah,
he was. Yeah, so I don't think he gets in, but he's right there knocking at the door. Legacy pick, when he gets 72 or something, they're gone.
I still got a problem with that too. I don't know. What's your view overall on these legacy picks? Because my thing is, even if you're legacy, right? There's something. There should be some circumstance, like maybe you were involved in something. Maybe you did gamble back in the day or whatever. But nobody could doubt your talent. Even with a legacy pick, it should be like, what took you so long to get in? Not that, okay, average guys overall. He's an older guy, so let's just let him in. I'm still that guy who still be like, again, if I got to look at you and say, yes, that's a Hall of Famer in order to get in. I don't care if you played 80 years ago, 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 30 years ago. So that's just my thing. So what's your thoughts on what's your thoughts on that?
Listen,
I don't know. If I'm not thinking about you now and you just got off the stage, I'm not going to think about you 20 years from now. I'm just not.
Oh, boy, I'm glad you ain't on nobody's Hall of Fame board, man. You be like,
I'm a tough grader. Look.
No,
I confess, I'm a very tough grader.
I'll say this real quick, and Shiny, you good, man. I agree with what Next Level said, and I said this earlier. He'll make it into the Wizards' Ring of Honor, and that's where he'll be at, the Ring of Honor for the Wizards, because he was a one-man show. But yeah, in the Hall of Fame, maybe when Shawnee gets old, maybe maybe you know what I'm saying. But right now, I don't see it unless it's just a really weak class, and yeah, he ain't making it.
But see, now leagues have taken liberties though. We've seen recently, like the NFL. I think they had 4 guys go in this past year or 5. It used to be like, man, like we had to pick somebody, but they're moving away from that also. So if you only got 2 guys who get in any given year, I'm good with that. But Shawnee, again, welcome to the show, sir. What's going on with you? How you doing?
Fine. Just making it to the house, so I figure I made it.
I appreciate. I know it's busy for all of us. I appreciate you hopping on. You got responsibilities and whatnot, so really appreciate you coming on board. Now, again, I don't know how much of the show that you were able to watch beforehand. If anything you want me to go back to and comment on, I'd be more than happy to go back if you have an opinion.
I
we talked about the NFL.
I wasn't able to listen to the earlier stuff.
Okay, so we talked about the situation in Indianapolis with Daniel Jones being the starter over Richardson and whether or not his career is over. Then we talked about the Cleveland situation with Shedeur being 4th string still on the team, despite having the second highest ratings for a preseason game since 2015, and yet Cleveland's still playing around with that. So those are like the big ones. And we also talked about the ESPN deal. So again, ESPN or the NFL acquiring 10% of ESPN, and in the ramifications of that. Do you think that can ESPN still keep a sense of integrity, journalistic integrity, given the fact that the league does own a portion of the business? So those were the 3 NFL topics. So if you want to quickly touch on any one of those, or if you want to get into the John Wall conversation, Hall of Fame or not, career, how do you think about that? So wherever you want to take it, I give you the floor if you want to chime in on any of those.
Well, real quick on John Wall, is he a Hall of Famer? No, because I'm looking at just his accomplishments alone. It looked like he just had 1 year of All NBA, 1 year of All Defensive, 1 year, of course, All Rookie. That's all he could do. 5-time All-Star. That can be compared to. I have to compare to some of the other players in today's game over the years, and that's not really that much. Like I heard Coach say, if he got any chance of being honored, it just may be by the Wizards. But the NBA as a whole, he hasn't really accomplished anything. Like, at least the other players that we was talking about in the past shows, they was like on an all-decade team, but many of them. He just had 1 year of each of his accomplishments. It wasn't like a continuous, occurrence with him. So besides All-Star, what NBA All-Star, I kind of take that with a grain of salt because fans. I remember one time they voted Carmelo Anthony as an All-Star, and he was injured. He didn't even play. So NBA All-Star, it's too subjective on that, especially when they're starting. Now, going back to the coach topic when it comes to Anthony Richardson, yeah, he almost, because as a Cowboys fan, I'm kind of seeing that right now with what's his name, Joe Milton. Anthony Richardson kind of reminds me, he's a hell of a talent, but, a quarterback, you got to be able to decision-making, throw the ball with touch. Everything don't have to be on a rope. And I tell you one thing, what really knocked a lot of notches off of his belt was that game versus my Texans, where he just checked himself out. He said he was tired.
Yeah.
You the starting quarterback of your squad, dude. You supposed to be, if anything, you the captain of the ship besides the head coach. If that ship going down, you supposed to be going down with it. And I'm tired, boss. And he couldn't come back in. And his team felt some type of way after he did that. So that already kind of put him on a rocky foundation right there. That happened. That happened last year or the year before. 'Cause he had the injury, so that kind of messed stuff up. But yeah, he just wasn't showing no sign really of improvement. Matter of fact, he had that real good. What was this? His rookie season? Because maybe he was just fresh and new. But once people got the film on him, that dude, he was not the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. I mean, yeah, Daniel Jones has some athleticism. He can run. He's not like a Richardson, and Richardson is a big dude. But Daniel Jones probably can do just a little stuff just to move the ball down the field. And Richardson, his skills look like it was just declining. Now maybe he can ultimately be a project like Trey Lance, Joe Milton, as a team who believe they can kind of coach him up. I don't think the Colts, because remember the daughter owns a team now.
Correct. Yeah.
So many times when you have a new owner, they have their own mind of the front office and the people and the head coaches that they want on the field. So I think the coach and the GM, they on their last leg, and the fact that you already done, bench your young, at the time was supposed to be a franchise quarterback, that means you have no plan, and you didn't do a good job of developing them. So she may be like, okay, it's time to just start fresh. So I think Richardson's time with the coach is done, and he just may have to be a backup somewhere, and hopefully he can get like a Baker Mayfield, even a Sam Darnold type, go to a place where it could have been just a coach not developing you right. There's other teams out there. Hey, try to go to the Vikings and let McConnell try to coach you up, because he's a hell of a QB coach, and let him coach you up. And then get your value back up, and now you could be like Geno Smith, going somewhere, So Coach, clearly they was not the franchise for him, and it may not be such a bad thing if he move on to another franchise. Preferably choose a franchise that can develop a quarterback, especially a young, talented quarterback. He's just so rough around the edges. He needs some hellified fine tuning. And if there's somebody out there to do it, he just find them.
Let me ask you, because I was just as we were talking about this, and I do want to go back to the John Wall conversation in a minute, but I think about these quarterbacks who come out who were, again, freaks in college, did all kinds of things. They're a crazy ability, but they just didn't have the right environment. So I think when I was thinking about him, I thought about Vince Young when he came out. So obviously that Texas USC game to this day is one of the greatest college championship games ever. Mm-hmm. Again, Freak had all the tools, freakish athlete, but again, he got off to a rough start because the coach there who, didn't like him from the beginning. So he never got along with the coach there, and his career was short-lived. And then you think of a guy like, he was just on the top of my tongue also. But there seems to be, you've had these, Joe Milton that you talked about, again, has a lot of talent and whatnot. It's like, man, if you put him in the right situation with the right coach or whatever, who do you guys think was the guy who you think, if he just was with the right situation, we could have been talking about generational greatness? Cam Newton, was certainly up there for a while. Obviously, got to a Super Bowl, wasn't able to get back to it. But again, I think you've had a lot of guys out there who may have had similar attributes, say, to Cam. But again, it's just just situations were such where it just didn't materialize for these guys. So what's your thoughts on, who would you say out of that group of QBs, whether it be Joe Milton, whether it be Vince Young, now you say, or to your point, even Geno Smith. We remember the rough start he got, got his jaw broken training camp with a player who owed him money or something like that. So you thought it was a buzz then. But he's a starter in Las Vegas. So sometimes it does matter. Sometimes when you're able to have the right situation. So thanks, Blake, for bringing that up. In fact, I'll just cue it. If you want to bring that up, we can certainly talk about the next block. So if you could bring that up if you want to, and then I'll cue it up after this section. But yeah, your thoughts on coulda, woulda, shoulda. The guys you saw the talent you saw was there, but situation matters, and sometimes you don't have control over that.
Oh, I have an easy one. That's Mike Vick. Mike Vick, and he admitted Mike Vick had the talent, but Mike Vick even admitted, like you saw complete Michael Vick when he was with the Eagles, completely different. That at that time he admitted that Donovan McNabb forced him to watch film. When he was in Atlanta, he was just a highlight machine, and majority of the time just running the ball. He was running the ball, but he was not studying. He admitted he was not studying, so he was not dissecting the defenses properly. So, and he had all the off the field stuff, but if he would have been the Mike Vick that you saw in Philly, especially that year where they basically made McNabb expendable, and that year when him and who was the receiver? Damn, who was the receiver? Deshaun Jackson. They just blew it up. I mean, they just blew it up, and he made it right there. He said that was the first time because Donovan McNabb literally just took him under his wing and said, "You gonna sit here and watch film." Vic was never a film watcher. He just went out there and just tried to, I don't know. He had hella athleticism. So he just went out there and just tried to wing it many times, and he had highlights, but he didn't get to that next level. And it wasn't until he got with Philly. Now you see, he wasn't really. I mean, he was still doing stuff with his legs, but Vic was killing them with his arm. I mean, just slicing dudes up left and right with his arm because now he can read defense. Now he know where to throw the ball. So I think Vic could have really been as far as somebody who, I don't want to. I can't really say. I don't really know if it was the Falcons or maybe that was just Vic. Vic just wasn't putting the time behind the scenes. And then, of course, he had the off-the-field stuff. So I maybe can't put that on the Falcons, because he was bringing excitement to the franchise. It's just you clearly saw a different Michael Vick when he was with the Eagles. I mean, it was night and day to me. Another quarterback, I always say it definitely where you are drafted is definitely going to determine your career. And unfortunately, in the NFL, many times it's the lowest team that gets a high pick, and then they get these quarterbacks. And, unless they really can, I guess, develop a quarterback and, okay, they had a bad year. So, okay, we're gonna get a quarterback, start from scratch. But if you go to a franchise, right now like the Jets, the Bears was looking like that, but I think Ben Johnson. What's that?
Man. Michael
What's
Vick
that?
was
He's
one.
been chomping at the bit here.
Michael Vick was. Listen, man. Kerry Collins, Daniel Jones, flops. Simple. Vick was one of the yes. As far as I don't think he was the reason why they lost.
No, he definitely wasn't the reason they lost.
He was putting up all pro numbers, so he met the expectation of his talent. He came out of college, he could throw. Michael Vick, I saw him one time, he threw the ball like 72 yards, standing still. So he bought his skills, and it was, even though he ran, but hell, he had to go. When you run the ball, you got to go with what offense you got. But these other quarterbacks, they'll lose a game. Their performance was so bad, they wasn't even getting you close to a win.
Yeah, I think those quarterbacks couldn't even have been like serviceable NFL professionals.
But they get starting positions though. We talking about Daniel Jones, who's a scrub.
They franchise did a high pick on him. They invested a lot of money on him.
But regardless of that though, they put him in those positions to go. Mitch Trubisky, scrub. They drafted him first round after 10 games, had high expectations. He's still in the league. Why is he still in the league? I don't know.
He obviously was meant to be a backup, not a starter.
But I'm just saying they put those players in the position to start. It's their position it's up to them to lose the job. A lot of brothers don't get that. You coming in well, won't you play receiver, Lamar Jackson? Won't you, you know, we don't really need you as a quarterback, but here he is, one of the best quarterbacks. Vince Young, he went to a team, didn't have a coach, you know. When you go to, if you're a quarterback in the NFL, you go to a coach that is a defensive-minded coach, you on your own. And it's going to take that discipline, like Shani spoke of. If your head coaches ain't a quarterback, offensive-minded coach, you got to study your film. You got to damn read your playbook. You're on your own. And you see the performance in players who have that expectation. I mean, who have that type of determination in players that don't.
Right.
So,
and I would also make a distinction with Vic also because Vic had the world at his oyster pretty much. Before that incident, again, he led the Falcons to a championship game, lost to the Eagles, but he was there. He was in the best situation. In fact, to this day, he still apologized. He said when he came out of that stuff, the person he hurt the most was Arthur Blank because Arthur Blank basically gave him the keys to the
that's why I couldn't put it on the franchise. They
right. But I'm saying, but with these other guys, it seems like I don't know if they're just not there. I mean, it seems like they have all of the physical attributes. I'm just saying, if you put them in a better situation, you wonder if they could have been better, or are we just seeing that they're just limited? Like a Joe Milton, we saw what he did with New England when he put him in there. He seemed like he certainly showed he had some gifts there. Richardson, obviously, again, a freak, is kind of built like Cam Newton, 6'5", 250 or whatever. Had that, and we said Vince Young, he was a freak coming out of college. Also, he had that sidearm delivery, but nevertheless, though, he was like I said, freak of nature coming out of college. But again, the coach at the time who coached as the Titans didn't like him, didn't want the pick, and he treated him like that. Even though he was an All-Pro, a Pro Bowler his rookie year, and still couldn't get along. And his career only lasted 4 years. So I'm just saying that sometimes the situation that you're in, if you took these guys, were going to be in a certain situation, could they have been better? Now, King, shout out to KP from KC in the building tonight, as well as Scam Likely in the house, as well as Trey Taylor in the house as well. Appreciate you guys being here tonight. Yeah, Richardson wasn't going to be, wasn't any good throwing ever. All right, so you know
who else now? I'm sorry.
What's that?
You know who else right now I think of as far as a flop?
Who's that?
Mac Jones. Mac Jones in New England. They got rid of Cam.
Well, Mac Jones was set up for failure because they didn't have an offensive coordinator. They tried to put two different coordinators.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now but my whole thing is like, okay, go. I never understood why people look at a college quarterback because they have good athleticism and think they're just going to come in the NFL and dominate. I'm like, athleticism. Greatest tool a quarterback can have is ability to read defense, and that's many times once they struggle, it's because they can't read defense. That's the main. Okay, you can run. Okay, you can run a 40 in the fast time, but okay, what you gonna run a lot and get hit? But you gonna have to throw the.
What quarterbacks outside? When you
it's
say
good to have some mobility, but just because you can run, that don't mean that you're going to be a successful NFL quarterback.
Well, you think Michael Vick could read defenses early in his career?
No. So my whole thing, okay, with the other quarterbacks that y'all mentioned, they barely couldn't even have a solid NFL career, let alone be a starter. Michael Vick obviously had some.
He was the star of the league.
Yeah, he was
on the cover of the NFL 2K game. I mean, he was it.
Yeah, because he was doing the highlights. My thing about Michael Vick was Michael Vick could have hit a different stratosphere. Like I say, you saw a better Vick with the Eagles than with any time he was with the Falcons.
But he didn't have to do as much with the Eagles. He had the weapons.
Because that's when he finally read film. So you saw him decipher defense a whole lot better. Just think of if he put the effort with the Eagles than he was when he was all that flash with the Falcons, Michael Vick could have been hitting a different stratosphere. That's my whole thing. Michael Vick, it's not like he wasn't a buzz. The way Lamar Jackson is viewed right now, because he won the MVPs. Vic never won an MVP. But he won the MVP, and you look at Lamar, like every year he's getting better. He came in the league, okay, everybody said, okay, you can run. He has great athleticism. but you was always wondering about, okay, can he throw like this? Every year he's improved. Now you just wait for this dude just to get the ring. When are you gonna get the ring? Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson already surpassed Michael Vick. Michael Vick could have been Lamar Jackson back then. He had that athleticism, but he didn't take the game as serious as Lamar did. Lamar, every year you seeing his throwing, because Michael Vick had all this other stuff going on. Lamar is focused on football. You could tell because his production grows.
And what's his record? I don't know. I mean, I know you guys love Lamar. I know you guys want his. I'm just saying though. I mean, look, I get it, the MVPs, but again, we talked about this last week. I'm tired of Lamar talk. You got to show me something, all right? He don't have all those distractions, just like you said. He doesn't have anything. So again, if anything, you're making a better case for Vic because with all that drama, he still balled out. So all I'm saying is.
He's won 75% of his games.
But I'm just looking at
in the playoffs is another story. So I'm just
games.
We're not going to turn this into another Lamar. Let's wait till the season starts. But Dwayne, BMU, if you got that, if you could put that screen up so I can show this video real quick, and we can jump. We can jump off of this and get back into the. We can jump back into the slides. I'll say this while that's waiting to be queued up. We talked about John Wall. I forget about who I was talking about earlier, Derrick Rose. So if you don't think that John Wall is a Hall of Famer, do you think Derrick Rose will get in? Kind of similar, kind of came out of that same kind of class. They were kind of, contemporaries that way or whatever. Does Derrick Rose get in? One, he was an MVP of the league. Do you think he gets in before he does?
I have to look at Derrick Rose. Only thing about Rose is just his injuries, and that cut off a lot of his time. But the main thing I was looking at Wall is like he only had 1 year of it was no consistency with Wall. So I'm like, okay, what am I looking for? How are you gonna be a Hall of Famer? He was just a decent player for the Wizards. That was it. And obviously, when he left the Wizards, when he came to my Rockets, he didn't do anything. So Derrick Rose was on par to be a great player. But only thing about Rose is his injuries. I mean, because it was literally just a small spurt with Rose. So I don't know if he'll be a Hall of Famer because he just didn't have that much. I mean, you're looking at he's just a small number. So obviously he was on a trajectory of being that dude.
Yeah,
but.
Yeah, Scam was saying, wasn't John Wall a bad teammate? I don't know he was a bad teammate. I know they tried every combination, tried to get all these parents together to play with John Wall, and it just never worked out. So again, as far as I didn't follow the Wizards like that, so I can't say for sure. But to me, Wall is very much like, again, Agent Zero. Very talented guy, but at the end of the day, couldn't really deliver. And I don't know if the Washington market is that just a good place for players to go? If I'm a player, one of the last places I want to go is to the Wizards. Going all the way back to Michael Jordan when he came to the Wizards also. They just haven't been very good for a very long time. You got to go back to the 70s when they were good, when they were winning championships. So when they were the Bullets. But they just haven't been good for a long time.
I found this on Derrick Rose, and it almost looked just like John Wall. Just he has an MVP. I mean, he was a MVP in 2011. He's a 3-time All-Star, 1 year of All-NBA first team. That's obviously when he made the MVP. And then he had Rookie of the Year and All-Rookie first team. So his numbers is kind of similar to John Wall, besides the fact that he was an MVP and an All-NBA first team that same year. Mm-hmm. But because his career was just so short, he only made the All-Star 3 times.
Yeah.
And, so I don't think that'd be MVP because – yeah, that injury, it basically, I mean, he still obviously played, but he was an explosive player, and then he just.
Yeah, shout out to Tom Thibodeau, the same thing he did then, he's doing it today, overwork his down players. Derrick Rose, to me, when I look at him and John Wall, Derrick Rose made his team better. John Wall didn't. He was James Harden. John Wall. Ball hog. He get his shots off. He didn't care. Every team he went to, it was about, he was, like I said, he had speed, one of the fastest in the league. but he was going to get his numbers regardless of how many shots he got up, whether they won or lost. And that to me, none of those, although none of them are Hall of Fame players, I would put Derrick Rose slightly above John Wall.
Yeah, and guys in the chat, you're talking about scam. I think I agree with you with both of those guys. But again, if you're going to let Derek, Anthony in, if you're going to let the center in from the Orlando, if you're going to let these guys in, these good players, very good players, maybe all defensive players, if you're going to let them in the Hall of Fame, then who's to say now? I mean, I think it's getting watered down so much. These guys might get in on legacy or whatever down the line. I mean, but it's like I said, I'm like, I got to look at the guy and say, yes, that's a Hall of Famer. That's my criteria. And if I don't see that, then no. A lot of guys wouldn't be in the hall of any Hall of Famers, NFL, NBA, MLB. We talk about this every time these topics come up. And again, I just think a lot of guys, very good players, didn't win any rings, and they got in. Said, what did Carmelo Anthony do? I mean, yes, he played for a long time. He's got Olympic gold medals and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, did he deliver? But he got in on first ballot. That's the thing that got me, I think, more than anything. Yeah. Not that he got in. Yeah. He got in on and Howard also. Howard also first ballot.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, he's not first ballot Hall of Famers. I'm sorry. Dwight Howard is not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I put this for Carmelo. Carmelo, and I tell you the main reason why he came first ballot. He was a 10-time All-Star. He was a 2-time second team, 4-time third team, scoring NBA champion. The thing that, and of course his Olympics, he has a high Olympic career. But the thing that made Carmelo first ballot, he's a part of the 75th anniversary team. And that was it. Once you put your name on there, you first ballot.
Listen, remember when the NBA, I think you were old enough to remember, when the NBA all-time 50 came out, greatest 50 came out? Yeah. Now, we all know some guys getting bumped out, right? So just because you all NBA 75 doesn't mean you stay there.
Well, no,
or because you're NBA all 50, greatest 50 of all time, doesn't stay there also. I'm not saying, again, I am not saying that he is not a Hall of Famer. I said specifically, Howard and Anthony are not first ballot Hall of Famers. If Dominique Wilkins isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, then Carmelo Anthony is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But yes, I understand Howard, a great defensive player, all that stuff. Yes, but again, I don't give those guys first ballot. No rings. Well, he got the one ring against kind of hobble with the Lakers, but he wasn't a major contributor on that team. So I'm sorry. That's how I think about it.
But when you're looking at the talent that you compare up against to get in,
but he wasn't Scam. Hang on, Scam. He wasn't. That's my point. My thing is, if you're going to do that to Dominique Wilkins, then Carmelo's not getting on first ballot. That's what I'm saying. You don't. I'm sorry. It's. I can't. I grew up. I mean, Dominique, the Human Highlight film, beat Michael Jordan in the slam dunk contest of '88. I will take that to my grave. He beat Michael Jordan that year, and I'm sorry. Absolutely, he should be first ballot. But if he didn't get in on first ballot, then none of these guys. But
who are you going up against in that year? That plays a big part. When they go down that list and be like, oh, okay, yeah. If he's rated higher.
Listen, I'm of the view, if only one guy is worthy of Hall of Fame entry, you let the one guy in. And then you have a short night. Right? Yeah. How many speeches go on for 2 hours? It's like, all right, we got to wrap this show up. Hit one guy in, and that'll be the end of it. But, and still, I'm not sure if BME, if he gets a chance to get that can present the slides. But I'm just going to talk about it. So our main topic for tonight, and again, I did not want to talk about this, all right? I genuinely didn't, but it's the banner of the show. So I guess we have to go there. So just to give you some background, so Tank Davis was to have a rematch with Lamont Roach, right? First fight was a draw. A lot of people think he lost. Supposed to have the rematch, but unfortunately, some out of the ring situation again, where he gets into it with his baby mama, and he's arrested because of it, and the rematch that was supposed to have got pushed off. So now Lamont Roach is actually looking to fight Shakur Stevens. I think they're trying to get it. They're trying to get that fight deal on. I think they have at least a verbal agreement anyway. And now you have Tank Davis, who fights at 135 barely. He could fight at 130 if he wanted to. I actually wanted to see if Inoue could move up to 130 or so, and then they could have a catch weight between those two guys. That would have been exciting to watch. But who is next for him to fight is Jake Paul. Jake Paul, who walks around fighting at 190, 195, 200 pounds, is going to get into it with Tank sometime in November. And the internet's blowing up because for some reason, people find the Paul brothers in general, and Jake in particular, good for boxing. A guy who fights over the hill MMA fighters who don't know how to box. Let's just get that out of the way. All right, they're not boxers, but nevertheless, he fights over the hill basketball. He played, players from other sports. The only guy he fought who even had somewhat of a professional boxing record, he lost to. He fought a 70-year-old Mike Tyson. And now he's going to fight a guy who's probably he outweighs by 90 pounds. And yet it's going to blow all these records. Everybody's going to spend their money just like they did for the Tyson fight, who they couldn't even see it. Netflix, that people were struggle streaming that all night. And people think that's good for boxing. And now Tank, as far as his out of the ring situation, apparently the charges have been dropped. The mom refused to press charges or whatever, so he's kind of, quote-unquote, in the clear. Although this is the same woman, if you remember a few years ago, this is the same woman where he was caught on video kind of grabbing her by the throat, taking her out of an arena by the throat, right? I think it's the same woman. But that being said, he gets some grace again. But this is his option, is to fight Jake Paul. But it's on the banner. We got to talk about it before we get into it. Again, shout out to our guy Anton, Jersey Stand Up, for the $10 super chat. Please explain to me why Vince Carter was left off the NBA 75 list. He did one thing that no one thought was possible, turning Canada into a basketball playing country. You got a good point with me. That's what I'm saying. I don't pay attention to these all 75 lists when you could even argue the people who should be on the list currently who are not on, but nevertheless, so again, just because a player is on it, you could make a case then. Okay, so who would you take off? Would you want to put Vince on there or Carmelo Anthony? If you had to take one player off and switch him out, you could make a case for Vince Carter. Dunking over the guy in the Olympics, a little over a 7-footer in the Olympics, the dunk contest, all the stuff that he contributed to the league of insanity. You can make a case for that. Shout out to What We Know podcast in the building also. So yeah, so again, just because you're on that 75 list, the way they be making these lists now, just like with the NBA All 50 list. Yeah, there's some guys. I'm plucking some guys out. I'm taking Bill Walton out the list. I'm sorry. Great player in college. Wanted to ring with my Celtics, get him out of 50 list. He's not in there. But, so again, lists in and of themselves don't necessarily matter. I'm sorry, Scam. I'm taking Vince over Carmelo. So that's, we can debate that, but I mean, give me him. Carmelo had so many chances, didn't do a thing. So, but that's me though. So if you guys want to chop that up a little bit more, since you brought up the 75 list, Shawnee, you can talk about that if you want to. If not, we can get into the main feature of the night, the Jake Paul fight, and if Paul versus Tank, if you want to call it that, if you want to call it an exhibition, or what have you. Go ahead, Shawnee, take it on.
Well, I always believe that the current top 75, I'm like, okay, who you going to take off? Now, you just mentioned Bill Walton. That's who you would take off. But I think the only two names that people may be even tempted to take off is either Anthony Davis or Dame Lillard, and I believe they both deserve to be on there. So I remember when they what's up, Dante? When they did the top 25, I mean that's a hard list to put together. I mean, obviously, you have to know your history of that particular sport. Because a lot of times in today's time, a lot of people like to just they disrespect a lot of the past players because they don't know nothing about them and what they brought to the game, and obviously they try to relate the past players to today's current skill set, and you just can't do that. So I remember the time. That's an incredibly hard list to put together. The top 75 NBA players. Do I believe Vince belong on there? No. I will not put Vince over Carmelo. I think Carmelo accomplished more than Vince. Vince did his thing though. I believe Vince should be a Hall of Famer. He definitely had longevity in the league. And what I respect about Vince's game is kind of it was Ray Allen the same way. Vince and Ray, remember they came, obviously Vince, explosive. They can dunk on you, all this stuff. And then they developed their game, worked on their jump shot. One became a 3-point sniper, and Vince became a very good jump shooter. And I think he didn't set he got his name up there with the total amount of threes he made. But they changed their game. That's why they was able to have as long a career that they both had. One thing I wish Russell Westbrook would do, Russ still play the same way he came in the league. Now he's still in the league, so you got to give him props for that. But Russ, I mean, he's still not the best shooter, but Russ was just blessed with athleticism that he still has to this day, and he'll still dunk on you at like 35 plus. So that's his God-given talent that Russ has. But his game, he's still not the best shooter. They'll still leave him off in the three-pointer. He'll celebrate like he's a three-point sniper when he finally makes one. But I always respect that about Vince Carter's game, that he progressed. He developed and evolved his game to become a valued veteran. I just wish he would have won a ring in his time.
Coach, you just validated my point. So again, score all those points, never won an MVP. He's a compiler, not a first ballot Hall of Fame. Sorry, Melo. I'm not putting him there. I'm just not. But shout out to Dante being part of the conversation tonight. Appreciate you being able to get in here. I know you guys working hard and whatnot. So anytime you're able to give us, really appreciate you guys coming up and everything. So we've been all over the map tonight. We talked a little NFL. We talked about the Richardson situation in with the Colts. We talked about the Cleveland situation. I was trying to get NFL. So we switched to this NBA topic. So again, with John Wall's retirement, as I like to do, talk about their Hall of Fame credentials. All right. Now again, him versus Derrick Rose. I think I'm still taking Rose. If anybody gets into the Hall, I think it should be Rose over him. But again, your thoughts on I guess on this topic in general, as far as we talking about Westbrook should be a Hall of Fame. Yeah, he'll get in. He's got MVPs. He'll get in. Despite never winning, but he'll same thing with the beard. He will get into. I'm sure he'll get into the Hall also. But I just hope these guys don't get in first ballot. But and to this day, I will still hold that Carmelo or Dwight Howard are not first ballot Hall of Famers. But that's debatable. So your thoughts on this? John Wall, Derrick Rose. Vince Carter, should he be on the All 75 team or whatever? And before you chat again, another super chat came up. Guy Anton again, always hooking us up in these spaces. Derrick Rose and John Wall are examples of why the one and done is bad for the NBA. Wow. I mean, that's that whole Kentucky pipeline, right? Because then Derrick Rose, he was a Kentucky guy also, correct?
No, Memphis. He was with
He was at Memphis. Okay. So,
Yeah, Memphis.
but Calipari coached that team, right?
Yeah, Memphis.
So again, this is part of that Calipari pipeline that just feeds the league with all these first round players or what have you. So is that's being looked at. I think that streak is over. I don't think that's happening anymore. But your thoughts on that or anything else we want to talk about? I just want to give you the floor for a few minutes to get caught up with the conversation. Then we'll continue with the topic that I don't want to talk about, but we'll get everyone's take on Tank Davis versus Jake Paul in a boxing match in November. So I guess we'll chop that up for a minute and then we'll look to close down the show.
Okay, what's going on, fellas? Appreciate y'all holding it down and as I get in here. But I'll hop in right where you guys are at. When it comes to Hall of Famers, first of all, I will say John Wall retiring and me seeing another guy, I've seen him from Kentucky all the way through the league and retire, does make me feel a bit older because it's like I was a big fan of John Wall. I think he was like high school class in 2009. And so it's just like, geez, we're at that point now. But I felt like he was super athletic. I loved it. Could never get the jump shot right. I don't know if it was him or I will say it was on him in Washington. There's a club in DC called Stadium, and he was there frequently all the time. And he was a guy that was on his feet too long, similar like Harden. That's why give Harden his props for what he did. He was a great player. Him in postseason games is just atrocious. But no for me for John Wall. Even though great 1 year at Kentucky, but it's just the 1 year, and it wasn't like a 1 year like a Anthony Davis type. So it's just like, but he was a really good player. So I'm with you on this one, Mr. Bennett. It's not the Hall of Very Good. Sometimes we the basketball, the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame has a problem with that, or excuse me, the Basketball Hall of Fame because it's not professional and they kind of combine. I don't think he's at that level. I will say with Russell Westbrook, I know you mentioned him. You hit it right on the head, Johnny, what you said about his ability to still be athletic. He does know the game and he can play it well, but I hate that he wasn't left in a situation like DC. He should have been to different places. Like you say, the one and dones. Go let him play with some of those one and done guys and learn how to be a professional. Because the reason why he has that athleticism still, he's taking care of his body at an elite level. He did not get injured, or if he was injured, he still played. And I know it didn't work out with him with my Lakers, and it never should have happened. But his ability to play, and sometimes the way we down him sometimes is tough. Because I will say as far as somebody that's really similar to him, and I know a lot of basketball fans switch their primes. But what happened? They would switch in a heartbeat. Derrick Rose for the health that Russell Westbrook had, because Derrick Rose is such a beloved figure. I don't know about older guys, but I know amongst millennials, he is like a deity basketball-wise. I was more of a Westbrook guy because he was pedal to the metal. And at the time, he was at a point where he could have played more defense because I got Kevin Durant. I got James Harden. Or if I don't, KD's on, I'm going to defend. Still got Serge Ibaka. But then over time, it just became, hey, I'm just going to carry the offensive load and not really defend. Obviously, I agree. I do think he's a Hall of Famer. But I'll say this, Vince Carter, hell no. Vince Carter, like, make the Hall, but first ballot, no. He was a guy I really liked, but like you said.
I was with you until you said that, bro.
What? Hell no. Like, first ballot, hell no.
If Carmelo gets in, I'm sorry. I'm picking Vince over Carmelo. I'm sorry. He's a compiler. And he played a long time in the league. I get that, but again, I mean, I'd take Vinsanity over Carmelo all day.
Professionalism is great. Everything I said, like I said about Russell Westbrook, he had those to his game and he helped younger players he played with. But when it comes to what you did as a game changer, as a move in the Western Conference, it was extremely tough. His rookie season, that team went from top, what was he, the number 3 pick or 4 pick, so a lottery team to the playoffs year one. He should have got rookie of the year, but NBA leagues like to tell stories. Now, when you look at it, the story of LeBron, rookie of the year, all the accolades, it fits. At the time in 2003, 2004, he was the better player at that time, and he did more for his team. But him and Vince, I never saw Vince at the level of ISO score with the way the game was played at that time, where he could just dominate and take over and leading in the tough Western Conference to the conference finals. Now, no disrespect to him, he did lose in Game 7 to Allen Iverson, who was the MVP, but in the weak East, you could not get to the conference finals. That, and I think by the time he got to the Nets, they weren't even making it, if I'm not mistaken. But that's the thing for me. Can you lead a team to if you can get to a conference finals or a finals, I can look at you as a guy like, hey, you were legit. Maybe some things went a certain way. So what I would flip it on his head is this. And this is a guy that was very great but didn't have a lot of team success. What do you think of like a Dominique Wilkins?
First ballot Hall of Famer. And he's not. So that's my thing is, again, if Dominique didn't get in on first ballot, Carmelo definitely shouldn't be in there on first ballot. And check their stats; they're very similar to one another. Despite that, the injury that Dominique had, he still came back and he still put up put up numbers. McGrady was a bad boy, also. No question. No question about that.
I'm not a big McGrady guy because of the fact of basketball. One guy can dominate so much, and you could not get out of the first round. That really bothered me about his career. It doesn't have to be the end all be all about the team success. But as an individual, you never could will your team past the first round. That was always a problem for me. Like the McGrady thing.
Anton, the blessings keep coming down, keep pouring down, brother. Again, shout out to my Jersey brother. Dante, Vince Carter is more than a game changer. You have a generation of Canadian players in the NBA because of him. You're welcome. So again, effect of the game. The dunks, the dunk over the 7-footer in the Olympics. I mean, the guy is just like an icon. He was like Dr. J. I mean, the guy just had so much going on that it's hard. I can't forget that Carmelo. He just was there, and yes, he would score and whatnot. But when he was here with New York, I barely knew him. They made more of a buzz of Linsanity. The Asian player was in there, Jeremy Lin, than Carmelo. So I don't know. He definitely has a lot of Olympic medals. If you want to give him, certainly on that. And again, Hall of Famer, yes. First ballot,
yes.
But in any event, let's get this. I've been trying to play this all night, so want to get this going back to the NFL. Shared this with some of the guys in the chat earlier, but I want to play this and get your thoughts on this. Hopefully, you guys can hear the audio as well. Give me a thumbs up if you can't. Hang on, can't hear the audio. So BMU, when you shared it, if you're still there, can you allow to hear the audio? I think that's an option that you got to press when it's on there. So again, if you can enable the audio, certainly I would appreciate that. I would appreciate that as well. But definitely this is worth hearing because we actually talked about it in the back chat. So again, I need the share the audio. So let me just play again. Can you guys hear? Okay. All right. So I'm gonna have to pause it again until So BMU, I'm just gonna text him real quick. We'll move on. So let's talk about again the Jake Paul Tank Davis fight. Let's talk about that. I'll see if I can get BMU to fix the audio on this. We can talk about this and close it out. So again, so let's go up to coach first. I talked about last week, the state of sports. So we got pillow fighting, we have face slapping, and then we have these exhibitions, if you want to call it that, with the Jake Paul situation. So your thoughts on this is because I'll be honest, I'm not buying this. I'm out of protest. I'm not buying this. A lot of people say yes, it's the future, and yes, what they're doing for boxing. Yes, they're making it popular. I'll stick with the Sheik in what he's doing, but I'm not feeling it. But Coach, your thoughts on this, sir?
This is just the state of the sport right now. There's really not a big interest in boxing, especially in America. We talk about the concussions doing football, but they got on helmets. But somebody intentionally going, 100-pound rating upside your head, that's okay. But this is just the state, man. He's taking advantage of, I guess social media, what really got him going. And I don't think you'll see it often. And as far as who he's fighting, I don't know. Davis he's having too many. I think he just got arrested before his last fight. I saw that.
He got arrested for DV, but the charges were dropped. So he's in the clear.
But as far as boxing, man, boxing just in that ugly state right now. And it probably take another 3 to 5 years for, you know, the next wave of boxers to come up and start getting some good fights. But right now, it's just the state of boxing, man. Shit, I'll go out there and fight for a couple $1 million, you know, 3 rounds. I get knocked out. You know, y'all can talk about me all y'all want. I'm a heel over on that island, though, because I don't need no trainers. I'm just going to do what I can do and go as far as I can go, man. So, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. I ain't getting no pay-per-view fight for none of that shit anyways. You muted, Brother Bennett.
Oh, you muted.
You'll get that stream.
I won't get that.
Shorty, go. Sure, go. Your thoughts on the Paul Tank Davis?
Well, I gotta give
event.
Paul some credit, man. I guess he's finally gonna fight a legitimate boxer per se. Well, it, you know, I think it's probably, you know, it's just an exhibition, and because it's Paul, you know, Davis may get a nice payday. So I don't know if they actually gonna go out there and really, truly fight per se. I think Davis definitely has a chance of winning if it'll be a legit fight. But I can't really hate on the Paul brothers. I mean, the only thing I wish, if you're gonna be boxing, dude, fight some current fighters instead of these retired boxers or other players who wasn't even a boxer. You know, try to, you know, if you want to take it serious like a boxer, fight some actual trained boxers who are, you know, about your age, who are currently still in the craft. So, you know, if it's something, will it something I'll be spending my money on? No, but I think if it's on Netflix, well, I already had Netflix, so and I'll potentially watch it on Netflix if it is on Netflix. But the one thing I know, only fight I know that it come on Netflix, but I'll probably be meeting some friends at a sports bar to watch, is the Crawford Canelo fight, and I even have Netflix, but I wouldn't mind going to a sports bar to watch that one.
Absolutely. Dante, your thoughts on this potential matchup?
Man, I'm with you. I'm with you, Mr. Bennett. My thing is, I may be a casual boxing fan, but when I do watch it, I want to see real men go ahead and get it. I remember Shiny, we went and caught my boy Earl Spence get the worst of it from Crawford. And I want to see, because I'm interested in that Crawford and Canelo fight. I hear there's a lot of Canelo fans here in Texas, and I really want to. I wouldn't mind getting outside and seeing how it goes, because that is the best thing about boxing, is being at a boxing event and seeing the split between the crowds, because it's animosity, because they're literally fighting. So seeing the real thing is better than an exhibition. I don't want to see an exhibition. I don't like watching preseason football. I don't really even watch preseason basketball. I watch preseason football to see the battles. I don't want to see an exhibition, and I don't like what Jake Paul means, because it's like, yeah, I don't ever want to see a sport like boxing go down like it has. I wanted it to be great like it was when I was younger, and then, you know, I fell off of it. But it's like I would like for it to return with legitimate fighters, but I don't want to. I just, it's tough for me to support, even though I want to see Tank knock him out. I really don't like the way he deals with people. I remember he had a way he was dealing with one of my favorite commentators, Bomani Jones. Came on his show and he tried to sun him, and he was just like, he was a veteran, so he didn't let him pull it off. But I really like to see him get beat up, but I don't want to buy into it and to go ahead and watch it and give it a stream. But once it gets on the replay, he gets knocked down or whatever. I just hope Tank doesn't take a dive and you know, just to get a payday, because obviously he's dealing with a case, so it might be tough for him to get another fight or something and negotiate that. So he's doing this to buy his time. I understand that. Still don't like it.
Yeah, I hear you. And as far as even if it's a legitimate fight, look, I mean, size matters. Now, again, obviously you're going to have the Canelo versus Crawford fight. I mean, Crawford's coming up, well over 20, 25 pounds, certainly to fight Canelo. But you're talking about a 90-pound weight advantage and at least a 8-inch, because I think Paul's like 6'1", something like that. Tank Davis is 5'5". So you're going to have a significant height and reach advantage, a weight advantage. And I just don't see how, Tank will be able to hurt him unless he just literally stands there and just say, hey, hit me, put my hands behind my back and hit me and see what you can do with it. I mean, even Big Show fought Floyd Mayweather in a WrestleMania, I think, one time or something. So I'm saying unless it's going to be something like that, then I don't see this as a major draw, but certainly I would be looking forward to the certainly Canelo Crawford fight, and certainly as we get into September, so I think we're about a month away from that fight. So I would certainly entertain having some shows, some pre-shows, maybe get Mandrell up here talking some boxing as we get up to the card. Certainly wouldn't mind doing that, and we can certainly get into it. Let me try this again. Can you guys hear?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry, somebody has a full house.
I can hear you, Brother Bennett. What's going on?
Hey, can you hear me, Mr. Bennett?
Yeah,
Go to the top left-hand corner, and it should be a mute button at the top. If it's a short, go to the top left-hand corner. Right there it is. Unmute it.
Yeah, you got it, man. You muted, Mr. Bennett.
Now it was unmuted, but let me replay it. Let me refresh it, and let's do it again.
Is the volume turned up? I don't know. It's just Facebook is funny. So
you guys
give me just
that?
a second, Mr. Bennett. I got my laptop pulled out, so I'm gonna try to do it with my laptop. So y'all can continue on. I'll let you give me 30 seconds.
Okay. So like I was saying earlier, I mean, with the 90-pound weight advantage and whatnot, again, I don't see that being a fight, but certainly Canelo, we can certainly get into it. We got another super chat again, Anton. Again, thank you so much for blessing the channel. The biggest problem with boxing, fighters aren't hungry. When the UFC had their first fight at Madison Square Garden, something told me that boxing will never catch up to MMA. Respectfully, obviously, Dana has the ability to put on the fights that he wants. But boxing, to me, will always have that romanticism. Like, name a great MMA fight from 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And I would have to think really hard. I think probably Ronda Rousey losing because she was on the hype train, or Brock Lesnar losing because obviously they hyped him up coming out of the wrestling business, and he proved that he really wasn't good at this. Those are the only fights I really remember. But I mean, boxing has a history, especially when you talk about the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. I mean, we talked about a couple of years ago when you had Crawford fought Spence, and the hype that brought up, and we said, wow, everybody was just so amazed at just how Crawford just decimated Spence in that fight. It was one of the biggest beatdowns I ever saw. So when you have that kind of thing, you just had Fury fighting Usyk recently. Deontay Wilder fighting Fury was big at the time. But again, MMA, what's the rivalry? I mean, Dana tried to push Conor McGregor down your throat. The guy hasn't won a fight of any kind, including the fight that he had with Mayweather in 7-8 years. He hasn't won a fight. Yet he wants to put Conor up there as like a potential guy. He was doing that for years. So my thing is always going to be that, hey, boxing will always be first place with me. But you got some guys who can fight Magomedov. I mean, he's dominant, but I don't think he's in the sport. John Jones just retired, and again, he could have been certainly made MMA even bigger if he could have kept his nose clean. But again, all the issues there. So I think MMA has done a lot. Just like Tank Davis shot himself in the foot with some of the stuff off. I think certainly John Jones. Certainly he could have done so much more for MMA, making it probably the number one if he was around, but you didn't see him enough. Just as he had a good fight, then something happened, he was out of the sport. So my thing is, boxing, certainly would have a more staying power with me. But yeah, you can go back. Like I said, if you're an MMA fan, I can understand, yeah, you having your guys, your Randy Couture's and Chuck Liddell's and Anderson Silva, yeah, all those guys, Rampage Jackson, yeah, if you're a fan. But the fights that I'm talking about, this was like Gen Pop wanted to see these fights. You know what I mean? So again, my that's, again, I always debate with MMA guys, and whatnot, but I certainly having one guy in control certainly makes things a lot easier. That's why I'm hoping this Sheik guy, the fact that he's getting promoters to put their fighters together in the ring for top money is, I think, is good for the sport. And I would certainly think that he would be able to, hopefully he would be able to, get rid of some of the red tape that keeps these guys because they belong to a different promotional company and they fight for this certain network and all this. In fact, in boxing, from what I understand, they're doing away with pay-per-view. So again, if you subscribe to the Zone or whatever, it's just you're going to pay your monthly fee or Amazon Prime. No more pay-per-view, I think, starting in September. So I'm looking forward to that also and seeing if that, certainly will pull some of the boxing public back into the sport. But BMU, I'm going to try this video again. So if you're there, hopefully I'll play this and hopefully people can hear it. Again, guys, let me know if you can. Still can't hear it? All right, BMU still can't hear it. But the bottom, I'll just summarize the video. The bottom line is that you got, obviously the guys from the Pivot basically talking about the old NFL. So we talk about, he's talking about the Jack Tatums and he's talking about, all the Dick Buckuses and the devastating hits from back in the day that guys were given. And basically it's like, is the NFL game to this day still watchable? I still am a huge NFL fan. You're not getting the ESPN You Got Jacked Up segments anymore. We're not getting those anymore. But it's still, to me, arguably still my favorite sport to watch, where I can watch an NFL game from start to finish. I can't watch baseball from start to finish. Basketball is tough. You got to catch me. I may take a quarter off or whatever. NFL, I could be engaged for the whole game. So, with the state of the game today, I mean, I think a lot of us would probably admit that we could go back to the old NFL. But should we go back to the old NFL? When you had those crunching hits and whatnot, should the game return back to those old school roots the way they were, or is the product in some ways better now? But some people like, BMU, he says the games are unwatchable. I don't agree with that, but what say you guys when it comes to, do you guys want that 90s, 2000s Ravens Steelers kind of smash mouth football back? Is that something that the NFL is missing? So, Coach, you coach football. Shawnee and Dante, you guys played football. Your thoughts on the old school versus the new when it comes to the NFL?
BMU, if the Saints was going to the Super Bowl, you wouldn't even never make that statement out your mouth, brother. I mean,
whoa, hold yourself. Hey, listen, I definitely would make that because they used to they had segments on ESPN.
You got jacked up. It used to be the highlight of the NFL. And now, if you hit a quarterback too high, you got to angle yourself just right. You just got to, it's stuff right now. You might as well put females out there.
I understand what you're saying. However,
do you think Lamar Jackson, let me say this something that y'all cook. You think Lamar Jackson, or what's the guy in Arizona? I'm having a brain fart.
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray. Do you think they could survive LT? Do you think they could survive that Cowboys defense from 93, 95? Do you think they could survive that Baltimore, that Steelers defense? They would be dead. The game would be more exciting. You'll see bodies everywhere. Lamar would be no good out there. He'd get caught around that corner. Ray Lewis. Imagine Ray hitting Kyler Murray full speed, full throttle, jacked up. Over with. Career's over one day.
Come on, man. Imagine hitting Patrick Mahomes full speed. It's the same result.
LT hitting Patrick Mahomes at 100 miles an hour. You know what I'm saying? But I will say this, guys, because I hate the Cowboys. I wanted to just throw this out there. But I just got through watching their documentary. Amazing. Amazing. So y'all please go watch it. It's amazing.
I'm like 3 episodes in.
Yeah, it's amazing, bro. Really
All right,
good.
I'll definitely check it out.
Really good
Sure.
work.
For sure. Appreciate it. Do we got the audio now or not?
Okay, so it's up right now. So try it right now.
Okay.
I thought it was the refresher. I don't know. It's not on our end. So I'm thinking it's maybe is the volume up on your end?
It should be. Just checking. So I got that all the way up.
The main
and-
volume? Yeah, let's try it again.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not playing.
Is the volume on your computer up?
Yeah, because I'm looking at it right now. Everything seems to be working on this end. Hold on, let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Mr. Bennett, cause you playing, is this the same laptop you streaming from?
What's that?
This is the same PC you streaming from?
Yeah.
Right now, you probably got an audio thing, cause right now your audio is with your headphones.
Send it to me, Mr. Bennett. Send me the tag me in it on Facebook and I'll play it for you.
Bet.
Yeah, your audio on your headphones is not coming out the.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying, but here we go.
Yeah, tag me in and I'll play it for you.
You got it.
But yeah, while he's pulling it up, man, I mean that documentary. You don't like Jerry Jones, but after you watch it, bro, it just gives you a different perspective on that dude, bro.
Cause they go, yeah, it's you will see basically even those millions, what 89 million he bought it for, but it was a sacrifice for him, and you see all of it. And what so far, like I said, I'm like 3 episodes in, but it just shows you how, like, man, them dudes was obsessive back then about the game of football.
And this is on the trailer. So if you watch the trailer, you saw this part. So this is not no spoiler.
Mhm.
Jimmy Johnson said after they lost those first 2 seasons, he went to his wife
Yeah,
and divorced his wife so he could focus more on the team. That's crazy,
they
bro.
they was married for like 20
some years. Yeah, crazy.
That's how obsessive they was. I'm like,
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Just shout out to Anton again. He's blessing the stream. He had a $5 super chat. One thing that may help boxing, you have to get rid of the WBA, IBF, WBC, and the same sheet of on the same sheet of music. Yeah, either get rid of a lot of those divisions or have them all on the same page. And then he had a $10 super chat that says one thing that's hurting the NFL. You have too many rules that benefit the offense, punishing the defense for having difficulties with making adjustments. So again, balance of power, switching it back. I mean, ever since that Tom Brady play against Oakland at championship game for that first Super Bowl run, the tuck rule. Yeah, I don't think the NFL ever went back after that. So
I got a couple of reasons why everything probably changed, but I'm trying to wait for the video to come up.
Listen, like I said, the quarterbacks of today could play back in those days. The players were a lot slower. And some of the greatest offensive players played against some of the greatest defensive players. And the game is the game, of football is the game. Players are faster, more dedicated, come to camp a little bit more in shape. So I think any quarterback today would fare okay. The problem to me is it's the turf field. You couldn't have yesterday's rules on this turf. It needs to be on grass. Because the way they hit today, the hits, players are not as durable, not as flexible. But yeah, if you make all fields grass, I think the rules can be a little bit tough. Because right now,
Finesse,
no.
Like Finesse mentioned, Tua will be gone. He won't be able to take a hit. That dude could make concussion protocol like every other week. But the main reason why you see this change in the NFL as far as the physicality, you have to remember the NFL was hit with a monster lawsuit. When you get Congress looking at you and all that, yeah, you're going to have to make a change. And they had to literally put a plan together to improve, the changes that they made. They getting all these lawsuits due to CTE and all this. So we could, I guess, fans, because it's not affecting us. We just looking at the product on the field. But the NFL, once you get Congress looking at you like, down there, you in serious trouble, you're going to have to make your changes. And that was the main reason. And then the reason why quarterbacks are so protected now, because the NFL now by far is worth more than they ever been. And teams, especially, they are really investing so much on a quarterback. Like literally, your whole Super Bowl dreams is on the shoulders of your quarterback. You lose your quarterback, your season is over. So because they invest so much in their quarterback, they're like, hey man, we got to do something to keep these dudes on the field as much as possible. It's no different than, okay, you got the NFL and then you have these spring football leagues. What's the main reason why people say in the spring football leagues they don't really care too much about watching them? The elite quarterback play or the lack thereof. People want to watch great quarterback play. So if you take a elite quarterback and he gets injured, that's going to affect your body. That's going to, oh, there you go. Well, that was, I heard it then.
Guys that made this league play that
Yeah,
way.
there you go.
They love Jack Tatum. I can go back. Lawrence Taylor, my favorite player. Just let's go back and think about the guys that would literally just fuck people up. And it's why people love the game. You want to go with James? Like, I could, if I really think about it, I could name a bunch. Sean T broke a damn punter's chest in the Pro Bowl. And they love it. And they play. It kills me that they used to play jacked up. And they had to stop broadcasting jacked up. Like, the people that made this game of all people, Dick Butkus, Mike Singletary. Now my mind is going about guys that I love
Ray
watching.
Lewis.
Ray used to F people up. I don't want to cuss too much because I'm getting excited. And now they're gonna alienate Aziz. No, he's playing the game the way he saw other people play it.
Yeah, it goes right back to, yes, it was a physical game 10 years ago, but with all these CTE cases coming and hitting the NFL, they had to turn course, because like I mentioned, man, when you have Congress looking down you looking at the barrel at Congress, you're gonna have to make some changes. I don't know what the penalty would have been. You know, NFL is a private organization. They definitely would have to pay some heavy fines. I don't know if the potential they had to shut down shop because of all these CTE cases and whatnot. I don't know. But when you have Congress looking at you, you're going to have to do some changes. So that's the main reason. I know us fans, we look at football as the modern gladiator sport. How they do in the Rome, you put the gladiators out there in the Coliseum and people just go crazy. Meanwhile, they slicing each other up, knocking each other heads off. It's not damaging us, but they the ones down on the field, but we just let the blood shed. And it's no different in football. You know, we love the hits, we love the bone racking. I still remember when the 49ers line, Patrick Lewis hit that receiver from the Jets. And he literally looked like one of them little sandbag toys because he hit him dead in his chest. And he just had that boy rocking on his knees. And miraculously, the receiver just got right back up. It was a hellified hit. But yeah, it's so much on the outside of the field, mainly because of them lawsuits. That's the main reason why you don't see this highly physical, violent game. Is because the NFL, I think, will still be the NFL today, but them lawsuits and Congress looking at you, that's going to change anybody.
Now, let me say this. So I think that when it comes to that, seriously, Congress needs to sit down, because you know what you signed up for. It's like going to the military, Coach Ferg. When you go to the military, you know there's a chance you may not make it home if you get put in the war. And that's like you getting shot and you lose both of your legs to a roadside bomb, and then you sue the United States government because your legs are gone. You signed up for it. So if you signed up to put on pads and to play a violent game, the game is violent. Like this kickoff stuff, like just imagine the men of old, the old players back in the day, these kickoff stuff, where now you got to go up 30 yards, you got to kick it into the right spot. You can't, like, it's just so much change. These older guys wouldn't have been superstars. Lawrence Taylor would have been out the league. You know, even in our current day, Sue would be out the league. Like he would be, them boys wouldn't make it. They just wouldn't make it.
I think Black Man. I think the players always understood what they signed up for as far as the injury risk. Like they said, it's a 100% chance you're gonna get injured in the NFL. I think it was the stuff afterwards, like there was no care for them.
Yeah, it was
There
the
was no
concussion part.
yeah,
Like I want to say, going back into that movie Concussion, it was the case of when did they know and when did they tell guys? Because if you like, I remember reading the ESPN reports of like they'd be like, man, I'd rather you take out my head and take out my knee because the
yeah,
philosophy
yeah,
is I'm gonna take some smelling salt, I'm gonna get back out there because you can't tell the effect on your brain. And anybody that's played football at a certain period of time, it was just like, hey, can you count my fingers? Okay, you good. You just I can't remember what they used to call it. It's like, oh, you just you okay. You take a play off, go back in the game because you can't physically see it. And guys are messing up their brains, and that's why the way you got it, the Junior Seau's of the world, are the guys that they know it's a problem. And so when they commit suicide, to shoot themselves in the chest so that they can preserve their brain and get looked at. And I think the league knew, hey, we got a problem. And then from the side of for the fan participation, the fantasy football, it used to be the first couple of picks for running backs. Now it's receivers because they shifted the game, so they've been able to keep our attention and make it less physical but still exciting. What I will say is you're going to have to legislate some level of contact back into the game because now we spread it so far with the passing, teams are starting to run the ball again. And now you're getting guys where the passing numbers were down a little bit last year, and it's adjusting. So can they find a way to keep it physical? Because I love Jacked Up. I wasn't going to miss a segment. of Jacked Up. And I remember the Ray Lewis hit where he hit the Jets receiver, and you could tell, hey man, that guy might have a concussion. That guy's out of there. But at the time, it's like, okay, take a concussion, go out, go to protocol. Back when protocol used to be, oh, he's out of it. Oh, he's gonna play next week, and now it's a legit concern. So I'm with you, Black Man. We got to legislate some level of physicality back into the game. But like they said, they hit there that they had with Trevor Lawrence. It's like, okay, he was late. He was late on it, but the hoopla that they cause now to try to ostracize the physical player. But like you got to have players with that type of skill set that's just gonna come up and make it tough to come into the middle. There has to be some level of that.
Yeah. I was with the video really up until that last play because that was clearly a late hit. So I think you got to be strict on the things that are late. You hit a guy out of bounds late, or quarterback in a slide. Yeah, I think you got to come down hard on that. But for a running back, or when a guy bends down his head, and then you still want to call helmet to helmet because the guy, he basically initiated the contact when he lowered his helmet. I think that's a gray area. I think that's a 50-50. You got to let him play in that situation if you're going to lower your head in that particular situation. So yeah, I certainly think certain things need to be amended for the game. But I think certainly with what you said about fantasy, there's just too much money, especially on the offensive side of the ball. People, as much as we talk about football, I don't think en masse what made the You Got Jacked Up specials segment so powerful, because again, it was something, son, you wasn't expecting. But I don't think people long term want to see a 10-9 football game. I think, the Patrick Mahomes versus Buffalo a few years ago when they were lighting it up, I mean, that might be like too far of an extreme of it. But again, I think you have to have that balance. So I don't think 13-10 games is going to be very popular with fan bases. Just like MLB is always trying to see how we can put more offense into the games. I think offense does sell, and especially in the fantasy market. Now, I don't know if the fantasy game is as good on defense as it is on offense. How many sacks is a guy going to get? How many tackles in a game? I don't know if it's played to the same level as far as the offensive numbers when it comes to fantasy. But now that gambling basically is kind of universal in the game, you can't have 200 or now these days $300 million players, whether they deserve the money or not, like a Trevor Lawrence, getting injured and out for the season because of these bone crunching hits. So it's always going to be a thing. But again, I certainly can appreciate seeing the physical plays. But again, even when the guy goes down, you still pray that the guy gets up. So that's always, it was like, good hit. It's like, oh snap, he's not moving. Or what really got me when you had Tua with the hands locking up, that kids be watching that. I mean, that's too much also. So again, where you going to find a happy medium? it's debatable. We're at the end of the show. We want to keep the respect the time limit here. We got one more super chat from Anton. Again, thank you for all night. You guys just been blessing the channel. And again, shout out to the hockey fans. You want a sport has gladiator mindset. It's not football, it's hockey. IBN's because I never heard about, I mean, I'm sure CTE happens in hockey. But again, why, I guess, NFL got more coverage than hockey did. I don't know if it's more in the hockey game or not. I'm not sure. But certainly I would love to get, I would certainly love to, get more statistics on CTE and hockey players and seeing if this is just as bad in that arena than it is in the NFL. And the last one tonight, if the NFL won an 18-game season, they need to give players 2 bye weeks. Yeah, that'd probably be a good idea as well when heard, but I don't think that's happening anytime either. That's tough. But we gonna close the show here. So I want to thank you guys for coming up. Dante, Shawnee, again, know you guys work hard out there. And I really appreciate you guys when you guys come up. Keep us posted on the Micah Parsons situation. Are we going to go into is a trade imminent, or are they going to sign on just before the start of the season?
He's going to sign back.
Okay, we'll see. We'll hopefully, but by next week we'll have our answer. But for myself, Mr. Bennett, the coach, Dante, Shawnee, this has been the One-on-One Sports Show on the BMU Network. Make sure you hit that like button as you leave. For everyone else, take care. God bless, and we will see you next time.